welcome to this edition of National Shelf Health. My name is Tracey Acum. I work as a librarian for Hull Libraries, so I work in the public libraries around Hull. I've also been lucky enough to do a couple of stints as Carnegie and Greenaway judge, first in 2010 and 2011, and then again in 2016. The book I'd like to recommend to you today is The Graveyard book by Neil Gaiman. This is my copy here. It's the edition that's illustrated by Chris Riddell. There is another edition available which is illustrated by Dave McKean. It's quite a historic book because it's the only book that's ever won both the Carnegie and the Newbery medals. So it's got quite a pedigree. Having said that, it's a brilliant read as well. It's a really good story. And that story features Bod. Nobody wins. So this is Bod here on the cover, and Bod at the beginning of the story is a baby, and a rather sinister character called the Man Jack sneaks into his home and murders the rest of Bod's family. Bod manages to escape because the door's left open, and he goes toddling off up the street to a graveyard that is at the top of the street. He goes into the graveyard and he's taken on by the ghouls and ghosts who reside in there, and they look after him and basically bring him up. He does have a guardian, and his guardian is Silas. This is Silas here, and Silas sort of helps look after him. Silas is able to leave the graveyard, and he brings food and clothing and things that can't be found within the graveyard that Bod needs. So he's brought up by the ghosts and the ghouls within the graveyard. But the story is told in 8 chapters, and each chapter is an event that happens within a couple of years of each other to move us through as Bod grows up, as the story develops. And so there are particular events and interesting escapades that Bod goes through in his as he grows up. So the story can be quite scary at times, but there is some peril, there's some mystery, but there's also a lot of humour, so that makes it a very funny book to read. So I would definitely recommend this. There are lots of other Neil Gaiman books available. Some of them are also illustrated by Chris Riddell. So there's Fortunately the Milk, for example, which I would recommend. Also Neil Gaiman wrote Coraline, which is another book that you can get hold of by Neil Gaiman, and that is a good read too. Have a safe time, enjoy your reading, and take care.